Hi, in this video I'm going to teach you how to make your own on-demand hydrogen fuel cell with simple components such as a high pressure jar and a high quality plastic lid, and convert it into a very crude but very effective on-demand hydrogen fuel cell. It's really interesting that over the last 2 or 3 years the interest has exploded in regards to creating on-demand hydrogen fuel cells that we can use to firstly supplement our fuel supply and save some money, and secondly we can minimize our environmental impact so as our planet can sustain our life for the next millennia. It's really interesting to find that hydrogen is highly abundant throughout the whole universe. The sun actually operates, its raw material is hydrogen, and that's where the heat comes from. And it's really interesting that the vast resource we have on our planet that we just don't know how to use is water. So by converting water, which is H2O, and converting it into a gas through a very simple electrolysis process into HHO, we have something that has become a gas that we can burn that converts back into water. Interesting, isn't it? So through electrolysis, we convert plain old water with a catalyst and some electricity and ampage. We convert it into a gas, and this gas can then be burnt and can supplement our fuel in our vehicles. And from there, we minimize our costs, we minimize organic pollution, and it makes a difference to the environment overall. So by the time you've seen the end of this video, you will find out how easy it is to make an on-demand hydrogen fuel cell, put it into your vehicle, and make a positive impact on your back pocket, as well as a positive impact on the environment. Now let's go through the 30 or 40 or so components that you'll require to build your own on-demand hydrogen fuel cell. Now a lot of these components can be found in hardware stores, auto stores, and electronics stores. And what we'll do is let's go through each of these separate components individually, and then what we'll do is we'll go through and we'll break them into compartments as to where you get these components from, these components from, and these components from, to make your search for these units quick and efficient. Okay, the first thing that we need to really look at is the high pressure jars and the appropriate plastic lids. These high pressure jars can be found all around the world. We use the American made ball jars, wide mouth ball jars, but in your country I'm sure there's going to be high pressure jars of a quality nature where all you do is you take off the original lid. You don't need the steel lid, you can't have that, but you do need to have the plastic lid, and of course you need to make sure that it gets a fairly good seal. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to create a nice firm seal. That's really important. The next components, we'll have a look at the electrical components. Basically automotive wire. You need about 1 meter or about 40 inches, 100 centimeters or 40 inches of red 15 amp wire and black 15 amp wire. Also you need to have some of the little eyelets. So basically we can connect those up to the bits of the wire and they will become connected to our terminals. An inline fuse holder. This can take an inline fuse up to 30 amps. We provide an amp, or you need to get a fuse that is 7.5 amp. You don't want to draw any more than that from your ancillaries. And also you want to get a wire splice, just in the event that you want to splice the red wire into an existing wire, just like the starter motor or the windscreen wiper. Also we like to use shrink, so basically just to have some clean finishes off at the end with the wiring, and you'll see that as we go along. In terms of the connections onto the cap itself, you'll need to get some clear plastic tube. Also, one of these little stars. Basically these things here are used to, you drill a hole in the wall, you stick them in and you screw a screw in to make it firm, and that's all that is. So we'll give you those dimensions. Also you need to have the bubbler. This is the valve that controls the flow of air into the actual system. Also a check valve. One of these things, this allows for any back pressure in the unit to be released, and also a little bit of clear plastic tube which basically will fix that in, and you'll see how we configure that on the actual lid itself. Then we have the wire. The stainless steel wire is probably the hardest to get. it's generally 316 LSI, has too much silicon in it and it's very brittle. So when you go to twist it or bind it, you can tend to snap it. There's 316L, which is a low carbon, which is very difficult to get nowadays because the mills are just not producing it like they used to. So we use 316. So get yourself some 316 wire. We use a 7x7 strand for the positive wire, and we use a 1x7 strand doubled over on itself for the negative wire. And we'll show you how we actually install that in the unit. Of course, there's the usual things: washers, nuts, bolts, and wing nuts. And we'll show you the exact quantities and everything you require when we take an overall shot of everything. Also, we've got the elbows. These elbows are really a key component to the actual hydrogen fuel cell, and also these lock nuts. We use a lock nut on ours. So we cut off this end bit, put it through the hole, and then we screw it off with the lock nut at the end, and you'll see how that works. Of course, some vacuum hose, which is the vacuum out of the hydrogen fuel cell, and one of these plastic tie-offs. Then we've got the actual 4 feet, or about 120 centimetres or so, of vacuum hose that you need, drawing the hydrogen gas from the fuel cell into your engine, into your air intake. You can then use to connect them up either these connectors, automotive vacuum connectors. What we tend to encourage our guys to make when they put it into the intake is to use one of these brass barbs with a beveled thread, so when they drill the hole they can partly drill it, screw it into the hose, and it creates a nice tight, airtight connection, and then they basically just screw it off with the nut at the end. And from that they get very, very good results. And of course, one of the other key components is the acrylic tower. We'll give you the templates for these, and this is what the tower looks like at the end. And you'll see that ours have grooves in them, and the reason ours have grooves in them is because that holds the wires into place. Because what tends to happen with the acrylic is that as the hydrogen fuel cell can warm up, this can sometimes tend to twist a little bit, and if it's only a flat surface, your wires can tend to short each other out. So we have the grooves to hold it into place. A really ingenious way to go about it.